Good day. Welcome back. Grade 10 Civics. It's Monday, May the 25th. I hope you are keeping well. I hope you have air conditioning, or if not, you got a comfortable place in the basement. Keep out of the humidity, the heat. It's a little tough. Of course, we were complaining not too long ago about the cold. Important lesson today, and important, again, for all Canadians to understand our rules of law, and where do they come from, and what do they mean, and how are they protected. We're looking at our Constitution or rule book. Any of you who play sports at a competitive level know there's a rule book. There are rules for basketball and for hockey and for volleyball and soccer, and they must be followed. Those rules can be changed occasionally, not very often, but they are enforced. Countries have rules as well, a rule book. We call that the Constitution. And it says this is what you can do and this is what you can't do in your particular country. It outlines our rights and freedoms as citizens, what we can do, what we can't do. There's two main parts to the Constitution. One of them is the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which some of you are familiar with. The other one is the division of powers. You know, what responsibilities are with Prime Minister Trudeau in Ottawa, what responsibilities go to the premiers, for ours in Toronto, Mr. Ford, and what responsibilities, got a little something on there, and the responsibilities of our local governments, our mayors, and how do those overlap? Today's lesson and tomorrow's lesson will focus on the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and then later in the week we'll look at the division of powers. We have an excellent Constitution. It provides us as citizens with an enormous amount of rights and freedoms. I think we probably take for granted. In some other countries, they would sacrifice almost anything to have some of the rights and freedoms that we take for granted. And it's here, it's uploaded before my video, so you should have that out and be looking at that as we go through. What I've got here is just a brief summary on one page. It goes on in legal type, but I think this is helpful. We're going to go through a few of these today. This is just a lesson. Tomorrow I'm going to have some work for you based on this lesson, so bear with me here. Try to get an understanding, maybe listen to it twice if that's helpful, and then I'm going to be coming to you with some actual situations and scenarios where you're going to have to work through this document. I'm just going to highlight a few of them. You can read them from yourself. I mean, they're there for you. Our rights and freedoms, these are the highlights. I'm going to look at it, touch on a few of them. Number 2A, freedom of conscience and religion. Everyone has the following fundamental freedom of conscience and religion. What does that mean? Well, it means we have religious freedom or religious liberty in this country. It means you can practice whatever religion you want or none at all. It's your choice. That might seem kind of straightforward. In some countries, only one religion is allowed. The government picks the religion and says everyone will follow this faith. And if you follow any other, you can be arrested. You can be put into jail. You can even be killed. In other countries, the country is officially atheist. No religion. Religion is fake. Therefore, anyone practicing a religion is committing a criminal act. And again, you can go to jail. We have religious liberty. You can practice any faith you want, or you can choose not to practice. And if you are an atheist, you don't have to practice any religion at all. And what we need to understand about the Charter is it trumps all other laws. We have lots of laws on the books. You're familiar with many of them. Can't speed, you can't, beat people up and all the rest of it. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms is above those laws passed by Parliament. That's what makes this so important, which means that if a law is written by our politicians that is in conflict with our Charter, the Charter wins. An example I often give my students is that I'll ask students, hands up, what's the drinking age in Ontario? And it's lots of hands go up very quickly. I know this one. It's 19. And students know that it is illegal to serve someone underage, to provide them with any form of alcohol. That's illegal. There can be fines. It can get more serious than that. However, I always tell my students the story, and it confuses them, and I'll share this with you. I'll tell them that in the last 6 months, I, Mr. Fischer, have provided alcohol to minors. And I've done it in a public place, not like hiding or sneaking around. I've never been arrested. I've never been charged. I'm not going to be arrested or charged. How can that be? And they kind of scratch their head. Mr. Fischer does that? How can he be doing that silly? It's not. In Section 2A says freedom of conscience and religion. Some Christian churches, not all, some of them serve wine to members, including members under the age of 19. Now, you would think that's illegal. You can't do that in Ontario. That's our drinking age. But your freedom of religion trumps, or I don't know if overpowers is the right word, those legal rights that you have in the Charter are more powerful, more important than the rules passed by politicians in Parliament enforced by the police. The Charter comes first. And if your religion says you can serve alcohol to minors, then you can serve alcohol to minors. Even though, and so in this case, it's usually red wine, communion wine, part of a Christian ceremony. You can do that. Now, if I was somewhere else and provided red wine to somebody underage, then I would be breaking the law because it's not part of that religious practice. So these rules and laws are very, very important. Let's look at some other ones here. Number 8. Take a look at number 8. Everyone has the right to be secure against unreasonable search or seizure. This is targeted at the police. So what does that mean? It means that the police cannot search you or seize you, that means grab you, in an unreasonable way. They have to have a reason. So if a police officer is walking down the streets of Stratford and you're walking along with your backpack and the officer says, hey, buddies, hey, open up the backpack. Let me see what's inside. If you've just been walking down the street minding your own business, you do not need to comply. You don't have to do that. You could say, and I don't know what, the police officer would probably get a bit of I've taken my civics class. Section 8 of the Charter says you can't do that. The police officer would actually know, this kid knows something. You're right, you can't do that. It's not reasonable, the courts have determined, for a police officer to search someone at random on the street. Now, on the other hand, if the officer hears maybe you've got the zipper open and the officer sees what looks like alcohol inside, or maybe you smell of alcohol, now the police officer has a reasonable suspicion, I think this kid might be carrying booze and this kid's underage, then they would have that legal right to seize your bag, to search your bag. Okay? And section number 9 also deals with the police. Everyone has the right not to be arbitrarily detained or imprisoned. Arbitrary means random, again, for no reason. You can't just be arrested and, they can't just come to your door, knock on the door, grab you saying you're going to the police station. The police have to have a reason. In some countries, they don't. Some countries, the police can do whatever they want. They don't have a charter of rights and freedoms. We do. That provides us with a great deal of protection. If they want to come into your house and search it or to arrest you, they need a warrant. They have to go before a judge, and the judge has to say, yeah, you've got reasonable grounds to think something's going on there. You can't just arrest people at random. And the next one, perhaps the most important, is number 15, equality rights. Have a look there. Every individual is equal before and under the law and has the right to the equal protection and equal benefit of the law without discrimination. And in particular, and now we go through this long list of ways you can't be discriminated against. In particular, without discrimination based on, and here's the list, race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, mental or physical disability. That's a long list. You cannot discriminate against Canadians based on any of these things. So those are the highlights. One thing that we'll see tomorrow in our lesson is these laws cannot be broken, but they can be bent slightly. Not just the police, but in general speaking, you can bend the rules slightly. You just can't break them. So, for example, if we were to look at Oh, let me see here. Um, Well, number 16, discrimination based on age, and yet we don't allow people to vote until they're 18. We don't let them drive till they're 16. The courts have ruled that putting an age restriction on these things is okay. It's appropriate. Yes, you should not, you're discriminating against age, but they have a very, very good reason, and it's temporary. Once you turn 16, you will be allowed to drive. Once you're 18, you will be allowed to vote. Once you're 19, you will be allowed to drink. Just when you're a minor, when you're a youngster growing up, you're not considered fully mature, fully legally responsible, and therefore we can bend that law a little bit, just a little bit. So we're going to look at some cases tomorrow, and I'll upload them. And again, you're going to have to look at it and say, these seem to infringe on the charter. Is it okay? Is it not okay? But we'll leave that for tomorrow. If you're late on your Citizens Handbook writing assignment number 3, get that in. I have marked a bunch of them and returned them. I'm still marking a bunch of them. Hope to get the last of them done tonight. You should get them to me by the end of the evening. Tomorrow will be a traditional lesson. And then I think let me check my book. I think it's Thursday or Friday. Thursday morning I come to you, and guess what? We're going to have Citizens Handbook writing assignment. Actually, we might not. I'm thinking of, we'll see. I might have a little something else for you instead. If that's the case, it won't be till next Monday when you get your next Citizens Handbook. It's coming, though. It's coming. And it will deal with this charter in terms of our legal rights and freedoms. When you deal with this charter, you're sort of dealing with how many rights and freedoms should citizens have? How much authority should the police have? If we don't give the police any powers, then how do they maintain law and order? If we give them too much power, that's not good for us as private individuals. And so that Citizens Handbook is going to deal with that. How much power do we give to the government? What's the right balance? But that'll be for another day. Take care. Bye-bye.